All right. So, all right, go ahead.
Okay, on.
So, my name is Brian Odie. I'm giving a speech here on the difference between a skydiving parachute and a base jumping parachute. I have approximately 1,300 skydives and about 820 base jumps. So that makes me, so I feel like I'm qualified here to give this speech on the differences between the two different systems. If you look on a skydiving parachute, there's actually two parachutes in the container system. You've got a reserve on top and a main on the bottom. The reserve is closed by this pin, and with a spring-loaded what's called a pilot chute that will automatically deploy your reserve for you when it is extracted off your back. On the main here, this is the main pin, and that is extracted by this pilot chute, which is manually thrown out by the skydiver while they are in free fall. If for some reason you become unconscious in free fall, you have what's called here an AAD, that's automatic activation device. If you blow through 1,000 feet still in free fall, this has a cutter in it that measures barometric pressure, and it will automatically deploy your reserve for you via the spring-loaded pilot chute. Now, having discussed all that, on a base rig, there's no such thing as an AAD because you're jumping at such low altitudes that there's no reason to have one. If you ever needed an AAD on a base jump, you're going to be a fatality. The other main difference, like I said, is that there's only one parachute. So the reason there's only one parachute is because in base jumping, the simpler, the better. We don't want to complicate things like they can in skydiving because with a simpler system, you have less malfunctions that can happen. All right, say you have a malfunction and you have to deploy your reserve. On a skydiving rig, you have a cutaway handle here. You pull the cutaway handle. It releases your risers here, and they just fly right off you. After they release, you pull your reserve handle, which then releases this spring-loaded pilot chute off the back. On a base jumping container system, there is not anything like that at all. All it is a container with a parachute and a pilot chute that you throw into the air to deploy your main. Those are some of the key differences there. Skydiving rigs are generally a lot more expensive as well. The reason they're a lot more expensive is because of what's called a TSO. And basically that is a federal aviation regulation that these containers have to be tested to they have to be tested to like certain strengths. So if you're falling through the air, you deploy your parachute and the container rips apart, well, somebody's held liable for that. And every single piece, this little grommet piece here, this little webbing here, it's all been labeled with a serial number, and it's all trackable all the way back to the manufacturer. In base jumping, we have all of those same trackabilities. They still use all of the trackability numbers. However, they don't require TSO because you're jumping off a fixed object. You're jumping off a bridge or a building or a cliff. Since the FAA is not involved, there's a lot less regulation. With a lot less regulation, that means it's a lot less expensive. So, and that is obviously a great advantage to base, plus base jumping is more fun.
Can you put a wingsuit on either container or just one container?
You can put a wingsuit on both containers. So a wingsuit is, if you've seen on YouTube where those guys have the little bird suits, the big wingsuits, you can attach both to here and to here. They work in side by side. Very good question. Yeah, so that pretty much concludes my speech on the difference between a skydiving container and a base jumping container. Thank you very much.
I got a question, Clint. Difference in the way you pack them.
There is a difference in the way you pack them. Did you, is it still going? Oh, okay. There is a difference in the way you pack them. You actually pack a reserve much like you do a base jumping canopy. So the nose is open to the air quicker. There's no bag on the base jumping. It's just a container and a canopy. So there's no bag. There's one rubber band that does not influence much of the deployment. It just keeps the slider up, and that's kind of it.